So my guest today, he actually met a woman in Bali in a tent. She said to him, "You're here for the music." And he said, what are you talking about? And she said, "Well, you were a musician in a past life, and then you killed yourself." And he wanted to know more. So we're going to find out more on today's show. Welcome to Microdose U. I am Dr. Dave. Welcome, Jordan Power. How are you today, Jordan? Great to have you.
I'm wonderful. I'm really excited to be on. I think this is a good fit for us, both of us.
I think it's a great fit. And not only that, I have to tell you, I've never started a show with somebody giving me a story from a tent in Bali. So whether we start right in on that or that comes a little bit later in the show, I definitely want to know more about that. But to start off, tell us a little bit about yourself and why are you here? Why are we talking today on Microdose U?
Well, I'm a singer-songwriter, but I wasn't about 15 months ago. I was a guy that owned a marketing firm in Canada, and a very circuitous journey getting there. I, worked in television, radios, kind of a media producer, kind of all things media. Started this PR company called Gray Smoke Media about a decade ago. And along the way, I was kind of vigorously searching for my reason on earth. I wrote a newspaper column. I was on television. I had a really successful podcast with my friend called Shame on You, where we interviewed all our exes and one night stands. You can imagine that alone description. You can see why I did well. Weirdly enough, only one of them said no to come on. I think people like to get their voices out, and we sold out shows and everything, but I kept searching over and over for my reason on earth. And I'd done all these things. I tried a million things, and I had fun. It wasn't that I wasn't having fun, but there was this empty hole inside of me. And I would say a year and a half ago, I was quite sick. I had a disease called ulcerative colitis for 18 years of my life. And I went to a doctor and he said, "Listen, your disease is at the end stages. We're going to cut out 13 inches of your colon and you're going to have a colostomy bag for the rest of your life." And that was the first time I sort of heard some sort of higher power or voice talking to me. And I just heard it saying, no, this isn't in the plan. So I communicated those exact words to the doctor, who looked at me like, "Oh yeah, I've heard this before." And I went home and I went through this period where I got all the chemicals out of my house. I changed the way I ate. But largely I got involved in consciousness work, some of the work of Joe Dispenza, people like that. And I changed my state of being, state of awareness, which is sort of a 5D consciousness take, to a person that was healed, was no longer sick. I did not talk like I was sick. I did not tell people I was sick. I walked around like I wasn't sick. And eventually, 60 days later, the disease that had plagued me for my whole life actually went away. And then my dog passed away, and I ended up going on a 6-month journey to Asia, jumping around to Thailand and all these different places. And I was kind of just finding myself and trying to find my purpose still. And I went to Bali, like you mentioned, and a friend of mine said, "Let's go to Ubud." And I met this woman at a tent, and I walked in completely unconscious, closed-minded, a natural aversion to spirituality because I had kind of merged it with religion, and I'm a gay guy. And so I just kind of thought, oh, all those people don't approve of me, so let me just not even get involved in that. And not that I would say nihilistic, but I sort of was just, I didn't believe in anything. I wasn't, didn't cleave to anything. And I met this woman and I walked in and I just felt this energy off of her. Like she just sort of knew me, and almost like a deja vu old friend feeling. And she sat me down and she said, "Oh, you hear about the music?" And I said, "What music?" And she said, "Oh, you were a musician in the past life. You've killed yourself. But now that you've gone through this whole journey of sort of understanding who you are and enough pain that you can do this and find the reason why you're doing this, it's now time for you to go be a famous musician." And I'm thinking, like, is she on drugs? Like, I still was just staring at her, but something in my heart was like, no, listen, Jordan, just listen to her. And I spent about a week doing some of the wackiest stuff you can imagine, talking to my 7-year-old self, herbs and burning sage and dancing and all these different sound healing modalities. And at the end of that week, it was like someone cracked my brain open. And it wasn't so much of, learning about spirituality, it was almost remembering who I was and where I came from and where we all come from. And I remember reading on the plane, I was just, I'm a huge nerd. So I was just reading all the books on the plane, learning about frequency, energy, all this stuff. I'd done psychedelics before, but it was just to get high with my friends. And I came back to Canada and I told my mom, I said, okay, I think I'm ready to make an album. My mom was like, what? And I said, I'm ready to make an album. I'm a musician now. And no one really people just thought I was like having a midlife crisis or something. I don't know. And I ended up making my first album in 2.5 weeks. First month, 400 listeners. And since then, my music has been streamed almost 5 million times.
What an unbelievable story. I've got so many questions. I don't even know where to start, but I think one of the questions I have, I want to go back to your ulcerative colitis.
Yeah.
Ulcerative colitis. And you told me that, just through some powerful things that you did, it disappeared pretty much. But has that been confirmed by medical community, doctors or anything? Did they say, hey, Jordan, we don't see any sign of anything anymore? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny because growing up, both of my parents were doctors. So I really came from that conventional medical establishment and sort of thought this is just the way it is, pharmaceuticals, etc. But all these different appointments with these doctors my whole life, it was amazing how none of them asked me what I was eating. And no one asked me about inflammation or potential food allergies. It was just a conversation about this drug didn't work, let's try this drug. And I tried all the drugs and they made me worse. And they came with a lot of side effects. And I would be in and out of the hospital a lot of my 20s. That's how I spent my days. It's dark, it's grueling. And but I just sort of thought there was just this feeling. I know on a spiritual level that it is my higher self that was really communicating with me. But I had a colonoscopy about 90 days after I started this whole journey, and the disease was completely eradicated. And the doctor's first reaction was not, hey, what have you done? Let me impart this wisdom on my other patients. It was, oh, it must be the new drug that you're on. And I had to say, well, I haven't taken it for 3 months. And by the way, this is a doctor that told me that when I was having a flare-up of my disease, I should eat white Wonder Bread. So that's where they're at in the medical community. Yeah. I mean, I think about that now and it's like, man, how horrifying is that? And, I'll bifurcate it like this. I'll say it like this. The first half is the fact that the nonstick Teflon, the unfiltered water, the phthalates that are in our beauty products, these things have such a deleterious effect on our bodies, and we don't really know this stuff, and we assume that someone's looking out for us, but there's certain ingredients that are banned in Europe that are still in our beauty products. And that was one part of it, getting all that out, allowing zero chemicals in my house, everything from fragrances to deodorant. But the second part of this, and what I've really learned the past actually few months, is in manifestation, when we talk about manifestation, you're actually not manifesting anything. Everything exists in infinite states of reality. And what you're really doing is actually shifting your awareness, right? We're the observer of our thoughts. You're shifting your awareness to a different state of being, and that's how you move into the new reality. Manifesting sort of assumes like there's something external that you have to attract to you. But the idea behind it is, from a 5D consciousnness perspective, if you constantly identify as someone who's healing, the universe can only reflect your energy back to you. So if you are someone who says, oh, I'm a sick person, I'm healing all the time, you're going to get that energy reflected to you. But the way the placebo effects and all these different things work is largely because your mind is so powerful. So what I did is I just shifted my awareness and my state of being to a person that was healed or no longer was sick. And the way I was able to do that was my friend also had ulcerative colitis, and he also cured it naturally. So I saw him, and then I said, well, why don't I just mimic him? And I have zero disease. I have no return of disease. I was a very sick person. I couldn't travel. I do nothing now. I just no longer identify with that. And that's why a lot of people, when they get sick with an initial diagnosis, their disease gets really bad in the beginning because they're in it, right? They're talking about it with their friends. They're on the forums. That's their state of being. I'm a sick person who's getting sicker. And that's the work of Joe Dispenza, is largely you're getting into the theta brain state and you're sort of, but you're moving out of it. But what he's actually making you do through affirmations and all this stuff is shift your state of being. So that's largely what I think I did.
And Jordan, you've mentioned a couple times the 5D consciousness. Could you explain a little bit what is that actually?
So it's sort of realizing on the highest level. So when we talk about like 4D consciousness, people say I'm manifesting, right? I gotta attract things to us. But when we look at sort of like Dr. Hoffman or Dr. Campbell, some of the new stuff that's coming out, the 5D consciousness is sort of realizing that reality is flowing through you. You are the source, right? So imagine we're sort of wearing this meat suit with like a VR headset, and we're kind of decoding energy. And when you get to 5D consciousness, you're sort of realizing, oh, I'm the source of my reality. I'm manipulating the energy. I'm matching a frequency. And whatever I start to align with is going to be reflected back to me. So when I say state of being, one of my major issues with long-term therapy is I do think it's beneficial in the beginning, but some of the people I know that are in long-term therapy, they get worse. And I think part of that is because they start to recreate their past and their patterns, and they live in it, right? And they identify as a person who has this mental illness, very much like me with the physical illness. So when we talk about 5D consciousness, it's getting to a point where in 4D, you would say, I'm healing, and the universe would reflect that back to you in the same frequency. Okay, you're healing. Let me show you more evidence of you healing. 5D, you say, let's skip all that. Let's get to the state of being where I am a healed person, and let me live like a healed person. And then that will get reflected back to me. And that's really how I became a good songwriter, is that when I started doing this, I shifted my state of being through affirmations and visualizations to a person who would say to in the mirror with no evidence, I'm one of the greatest songwriters in the world. And I would say that all day long and all day long. And as I said that and embodied that and walked around like that, I became better and better and better at songwriting, not in a grinded out human mind limited way, in a connecting to infinite intelligence, higher self downloading sort of way. And then that was reflected back to me. So that's the kind of newer age stuff that's coming out now, is kind of like, don't keep identifying as a person who's healing. Identify a person who has shifted to the state of being of a person that's healed, and then you skip that whole thing, and the universe is going to reflect it back like a mirror. And that's what I say when I mean 5D consciousness.
Had you ever written a song before you met that woman in the tent in Bali? Had you had experience with that at all?
Zero experience. I actually tried a bit because I love music. It's been my best friend my whole life. I tried to. I was horrific at it. But I realized what I was doing was entirely wrong. I talk to songwriters now and people who can't get it. You don't sit down at a piano and grind it out from your limited human monkey mind. What you do is you connect to the infinite intelligence that we're all connected to, and you simply download it. You know, one of the things that's so interesting is I was listening to a podcast of a guy who's an inventor. And he says when he gets a brilliant idea, he calls his assistant and he says, get it done now. Get the application in now. Because what they find is what happens is when he goes to get the invention, the patent for the invention, there will be a person in Russia or Australia or on the other side of the world that will come up with the exact same invention within 48 hours. And that just speaks to sort of quantum entanglement, that we're all kind of in this quantum field. So what's happening is they're also downloading it from the field at the same point. And so what ends up happening is with the songs that I write from a deep sleep, it is a channeling process. They'll come to me in the shower, the entire concept, the entire chorus, the entire words. I've simply just connected to that higher intelligence because I believe in it and I shifted my state of being. I don't really write songs. I say I channel them. And like, you know, I've listened to the guys from Coldplay. They say, yeah, sometimes we receive songs from wherever they come from. And I think we know where they come from. They come from the infinite intelligence that we're connected to. So yes, that's the answer. That's the protracted answer to your question. I apologize.
No, because I was going to ask you, like, what all this, how is it connected with, like, quantum physics and all of that? And you kind of just answered that question. That's really amazing. So I was kind of thinking along the same lines as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're all connected. We're all one. I definitely believe in all that. But it's kind of like when you break up with someone, it's not just hard for the reason that you have memories. It's the reason that you're entangled on a quantum level. Your particles are entangled, right? And that's why your mom could be in Europe and you could be in America, and all of a sudden you think about her and she calls you. It's because you can't get away from the fact that we're all connected on one level. And so I've experienced that on a level with, personal relationships and stuff, but the songwriting has really been an out of body experience. That's how I would describe it. I've written and released 20 songs, and the ones where I try to monkey mind human grind it out, they're not good. They take forever. And I just go to a breathwork class and meditate for an hour and I go, well, there's the whole song. Like, that was the solution all along. And sometimes when you meditate for 25 minutes, you'll get the answer to anything you want. It'll just come right to you, directly down, instead of trying to figure it out through this brain that we have that is just, it doesn't live in the now. It tries to go to the future, past. You got to just be in the present moment, because that's really all that exists. There isn't really a past, which might be a little over people's heads, but.
No, so I was having coffee with somebody just 2 days ago. He said, it's funny. He said the exact same thing, Jordan. Like, there's only the present. But I did want to ask you, how do psychedelics fit into this whole journey of yours? There's got to be a story there.
Yeah, I mean, I used to use them for hijinks with my friends. I used to have fun. We used to go to the woods and do all that. But until I used them as medicine, I would say in the past year, one of the interesting things about psychedelics is people don't realize that a lot of the times, particularly mushrooms, but different ones, they actually don't increase activity in your brain. They actually can shut down activity in your brain, right? So in your default mode network can start to shut down. And so that's where you have, your self-referential, kind of your ego. And that's where they can help, not just on the neuroplasticity side of things of changing the way that you think, but what really we're plagued by is, they call it the monster mind, the ego, the thoughts that start to run the show. And for me, ego deaths through psychedelics or using them as tools has allowed me to shift into observer mode. I am not my thoughts. I'm the observer of my thoughts. I'm the awareness behind those thoughts. And the psychedelics has helped me to let the thoughts go by like clouds, not let them run the show, to understand that my default state as awareness is unconditional love. We are not living in lack. There's so much abundance out there. We don't have to live in fear. But when we live in the past or we live in the future or we let the ego run the show, we run into that. And so it's helped me to untangle things, process things, but largely you always kind of harken back to present moment. And that's what I find it's helped me a lot with. And each psychedelic is very different than all the other ones.
I'd like to know a little bit more about that, but I'm also thinking that even though this show is called Microdose U, I have a slight feeling that you're probably more of a larger dose. I don't think you're, from what you're saying, it doesn't sound like you're microdosing.
No, I mean, I actually don't microdose because I find that it gives me anxiety. It's almost like I want to break through on the higher dose. I mean, I've done 7 grams of mushrooms, which is the heroic dose. I've also done ketamine therapy. I've done LSD. I tried combo. If you want me to specifically talk about mushrooms, I mean, for me, they function in entirely different ways, that they open up a creative channel for me that's really powerful. And I can write an album in like 3 days, and I kind of did before, because I, had got to a present moment, had got to a strong place, had used it as a conduit to my higher self to kind of download the album. But I understand that people use it depression, anxiety, and stuff like that, I find I kind of go all in on it with all the psychedelics. And I also try not to self-identify as someone who has depression or anxiety, because I have done that in the past. And it goes back to what I'm saying about the state of being. I mean, depression, anxiety are just future traveling or past traveling in your head. If you live in the present moment, there's no way that you can be depressed or anxious, because I'm just having a conversation with you right now and nothing else matters. It's just us.
I've got to be honest with you. I am learning a lot from you. I'd be curious if you could just kind of briefly tell me a little bit about you told me, they said mushrooms. I think you said mushrooms can make you more creative and you can write an album fairly quickly. Contrast that with something like LSD.
I mean, LSD is a time commitment. That is my issue with LSD. It is a 12-hour time commitment. There's a point, if you do it at noon at about 7 p.m., where you think, I've had enough. I would say the difference between the two, in my experience, is that mushrooms are much more silly, laughter-inducing. There's like a frivolity around it. I don't know, but I find with LSD, it's much more metaphysical driven. LSD is more focused on sort of you're moving between the realities. And I find what's really interesting with LSD that doesn't happen for me on mushrooms is that you will manifest things very, very quickly, right? So the idea behind when we talk about higher consciousness, the idea behind it is in the higher realms where we come from, you instantaneously would manifest something, right? In the lower realms, there's a bit of a lag to it. But what happens is when you take a lot of psychedelics or you sort of get away from the ego, the bridge between point A and point B in your manifestation starts to shrink. So what I will notice when I take LSD is I will think about a specific person, an email, a business deal, and sometimes after that 12-hour trip is over, it will manifest. I will get a text from the person. I will get an email from the person. And so what I think I'm largely doing and what I'm noticing in that is I'm just shifting to a different reality by the time that the trip is over. And, people that doubt manifestation or any of these things is I just say to them, you're manifesting billions of times a day. You're shifting through infinite realities all day long. And so you're doing it no matter what, whether you want to, harness it for particular goals, but you're doing it all day long. And I find with LSD, it really shortens that distance between, 4D visualization and then kind of collapsing the wave and the particles down into the singular reality that we want.
I'd like to know also a little bit more now about your music career, from that infamous day in the tent with the woman in Valley to where you are now. Like, what are you doing these days with it, and where do you see yourself in I know we can only live in the present, but like in a couple of years, what do you think you'd be doing with it?
I mean, I saw it when I did DMT. I saw the whole thing, and that's what kept me going $50,000 later of my own money launching this, because it's an industry where it's a 1 in 10 million chance of making it, probably a 1 in a million chance of making a living. But I have an irrational confidence around my abilities because I understand on a quantum level that everything already exists in another reality. I'm just connecting with it. So I'm just shifting my awareness to the reality in which it's here, and then it has to manifest in front of me. Are there alternate universes where in maybe some universes you're already an extremely accomplished musician or whatever, and then other universes where you might not be? How does that? Yeah, there's a reality where David is homeless, and then there's a reality where David's a billionaire, and your consciousness is spread across all of them. So for me, kind of understanding that, I know I can make it happen. When it comes to the DMT experience, I saw the whole future reality, which isn't really future because everything's now. But I sort of saw the concert. I saw the breath work and the meditation before the concert began. I saw the merch. I saw the branding. And so I've just been kind of shifting to that reality.
Hey, I need some DMT, I think, to see my reality, Jordan. I mean,
well, you have DMT in your brain, right? You have it. It's what you release when you die. And you can't access it by not smoking it or ingesting it. You can access it through certain types of meditation. There's DMT inducing meditations. But yes, I mean, I don't push drugs on people or medicine, let's say, but I saw the whole thing and I saw it unfolding and I saw how it would unfold. And as I connected with it, the synchronicities were perfect. The people that I met, the coincidences that happened, everything that happened since then has been bliss. It's been easy and I've just been enjoying the ride.
So it's already happened. You just need to somehow, I don't know the correct terminology, but you need to make sure it's happening in the universe that you're in right now. How does that work?
I need to shift my awareness to the reality in which it already exists. And that's the trick. And what blocks that for people, and this is really like when people, this is the greatest tip on manifestation, because I would say 99% of manifestation teachers don't know what they're talking about. And I'm sure people in your audience have watched all these videos and paid for the courses and nothing's shifting. And it's super easy. It's really just, it already exists. So you shift your awareness to the reality. You start living as if it already exists, right? You start walking around like you are this person that's a famous pop star. You start existing in that and you don't check for evidence of it. So that's a big block when we talk about lack in manifestation. If it already exists, if you're already moving towards it, if the particles are already rearranging for you to get there, why would you keep checking for evidence of it? Why would you worry? Why would you live in fear? You'd know it's coming, and all you'd do is celebrate that it's coming, and you would live like that. And that's the fastest way to change the gap between going from point A to point B. If you know it's coming, then just enjoy your life. Live in zero fear, live in zero doubt. And that is the thing that people have to realize is you're actually just shifting between characters. You are awareness, you're in this body, but this is a consciousness simulator where you can go have fun and do whatever you want. And what's blocking your manifestations or anything is fear or a belief in limitation, a belief in lack. And once you can shift to that and know that circumstances don't matter and anything's possible, it's amazing what will manifest in front of you. It's, you know, I am evidence of it. I have zero musical experience. I don't even know the chords and the notes. And I'm writing songs in 20 minutes and I cured my disease. And people ask how I did it. And I said, I just shifted my awareness and I walked around like I'm healed.
No, wait a minute.
I'm a songwriter.
Jordan, I got to stop you for a second. Are you telling me, you're telling me.
You thought we were only going to go 20 minutes, David. I told you, like there's too much to unpack here.
You're telling me that you have no previous music experience or knowledge, or you don't know chords. You play an instrument. Did you ever play an instrument? Do you play an instrument now? This is just baffling to me that you had no musical experience, but now you're producing.
I'm helping produce songs with zero experience, right? I'm working with people who are 14 years in, and I'm saying, hey, we need more drums and bass, and it needs to sound like this. But it's because my awareness has shifted to, I'm a world famous pop star. It's coming to me. And I'm an amazing songwriter, and no evidence in the 3D reality in front of me that contradicts that my senses pick up on, right? I just ignore it all. So it's almost a little bit of delusion you have to live in as you move from point A to point B in your manifestation. You know, and there's people in India, you read about them, gurus and stuff, they will heal the sick, they will manifest diamonds out of thin air. We are so much more powerful than we realize, but we've led to believe that we live in limitation. And yes, I have no musical experience. I mean, now I've taught myself some chords and stuff like that, but
chords on a guitar or chords on what instrument?
Piano.
Piano.
But I don't like to write like that. I think that's a terrible way of writing. I think it's much better to play some solfeggio frequencies, open up your heart chakra, and download it from the infinite intelligence that we are all connected to. And it sounds hokey and people don't have to believe me, but my music's great. So, I mean,
hey, I'm going to ask you to share that in a second, but
sure.
I've got two kind of questions before, and you're right. Forget the 20-minute point. I don't.
Yeah, it's a disservice to your audience. We got to get into it.
well, I'm already thinking. Okay, it's 100%. I want to have you back if you'll do it. So that's one thing. Okay, we're going to do that. So we don't have to cover everything today, but Is this something that, because I've got a bunch of listeners or viewers out there that are thinking, yeah, Jordan did this, but I don't think there's any way I can do this. Can anyone without exception do this?
Yes, here's the experiment to bring anything into your reality, probably within 30 days. Okay, so what you're going to do is, and there's CIA documents from like the 70s that knew this. Essentially what you need to do is you need to sit down, meditate. I know some people are thinking, I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. You absolutely can do it. I couldn't do it for a long time. You don't have ADD, just turn your phone off. You want to sit down. You want to play solfeggio frequencies. I play them at 528 hertz. It's a certain sound. You can find them on Spotify or Apple. That's going to open up your heart chakra, which sort of is your radio tuner for the universe. And you're going to breathe into it, and you're going to imagine a glow around your heart, and you'll start to feel this feeling that sort of feels like elation, like a rush of chemicals. And it's beautiful because that's our default state, is we really are just unconditional love, and we've lost that. And as you tune to it, I want you to vividly imagine what you want. So say it's a partner, you're walking around with that person, you're in love, but what you're really tuning into is not the person, it's the feeling that you're going to feel, right? You don't want the Ferrari or the $10 million, you actually just want the feeling. And as you get into that feeling, you want to hold it really strongly and feel gratitude for the fact that it's yours and everything you have now. And as you hold that gratitude really hard, you'll start to feel like it's almost yours, like you almost have it now. You've almost tricked your body into having it now. And do that for about 30 minutes. And then you want to detach, right? Okay, it's coming to me. I'm connecting with it. The particles are moving. They're starting to collapse into a new reality. It's great. Walk around, hold that frequency. Don't check for the evidence of it. Don't go on social, where is it? Where I don't have it. Oh my God, you're right back in lack if you do that. And hold that and just wait. And let me know what happens in 30 days, because I've now manifested a business deal in 4 days, a partner in a week, a music career, all these things. That's what I do whenever I want anything. I don't run around the external world like a chicken with my head cut off looking for, trying to force it in desperate energy and constriction, right? You just align. And that's what Tesla said. He said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, it's frequency and vibration. So you just need to be in the frequency of what you want, and the universe will reflect it back to you. And that, by the way, that's good and bad. If you walk around saying I have no money all day long, good luck. The girl that wrote that book, The Secret, that I normally would have thought was crazy, when she was $100,000 in debt, she would get her bills, and what she would do is she would treat them like they were checks, and she would get so excited, oh my God, more money, oh my God, more money. And as she shifted into the frequency of abundance, she made, I don't know, $50 million or whatever it is. But that's all she was doing all day long. So it's really about staying firm on the state of being of what you want to become and shift to. And anything that comes in your 3D reality that contradicts that, you just ignore it.
So you're saying basically, but that little exercise, that meditation exercise that you just shared for 30 minutes, do that exact same thing for 30 days straight. Is that what you're saying?
You could do it for 30 days straight, but you don't want to do it from a place of needing it to come. I'm doing this to get the thing, because then you're emanating the frequency of lack. If it's yours in an alternate reality, if it's coming towards you right now, why are you acting like it's not yours? And that's why actually robotic affirmations work. You see these stories on YouTube, your audience can look them up. It'll be a girl and she'll say, hey, I wanted this modeling gig. So what I did was I said, I'm on the cover of this magazine 50,000 times for a weekend. And she'll go and she'll just say it over and over. Now, it may work, but you're going to drive yourself insane. But all she's doing is using the words to then get into the state of being. But the universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to feeling and frequency. So all she really had to do is get in the frequency of the thing that she wanted, and it would start to come towards her. But what she's psychotically doing is she's saying the thing over and over to try to shift her awareness, shift her state of being into that reality. And then, of course, a month later, she's like, oh my God, I was on the cover of this. And I'm like, yeah, but you didn't have to do any of that.
I've got a personal question I want to ask you, and I think you probably answered it already, because I like the 30-minute meditation at the 528 hertz frequency. On a personal level, I've been taking Japanese lessons for about a year and a half. And I've got this really great teacher. We do it live on video she's from Osaka, Japan. And, but in a year and a half, I really, my feeling is, a little bit at a time. I'm slowly learning, but I don't think now and I am slowly learning, but I still can't have a fluent conversation in Japanese with somebody, especially like a native speaker. But now, are you kind of telling me that if I put myself into this mindset, this whole thing, that I could be speaking like fluent Japanese in a month or so?
If you shift your state of awareness into a person that already speaks fluent Japanese, I mean, even what you just said to me, I don't know if I can. I don't know. You're trapped.
Yes, exactly.
Right? You're trapped,
exactly.
and you've set up. Okay, I mean, think of the universe and our reality. It's just a mirror. It's a complete mirror, right? When you take tuning forks, right? You hit them, and you watch how the frequencies. The other ones won't match, but the certain frequencies match. Now, think of that same concept as like, okay, that's our reality, right, on a quantum level. So you're only going to get reflected back what you say. And so, there's some people in the spiritual world is they refuse to say anything negative ever. And their life is a dream. They always get the parking spot or whatever. So just watch how you speak in general. And so, yes, if you move your state of awareness into the type of person that learns Japanese faster than anyone else, and it's easy for you, and you visualize yourself speaking it really quickly and easily, your ego is going to go, well, that's not possible, David. That's not real. No, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And you just say, no, thank you. I appreciate that. But I'm understanding what's going on a quantum level, and I don't really need to listen to your thoughts. You don't resist the thoughts like, no, that's not true, because that is actually giving energy to the thoughts. If you resist them and you go, it shows you're angry by them. You just calmly kind of say, well, I'm not limited in that manner, and thank you so much, but I'm actually going to move into the reality where I'm fluent and it was easy for me. And then anything that contradicts that, when you're practicing your Japanese, anything contradicts that, you just say, no, thank you. I know what's happening. And you stay in that. And that's how the most advanced spiritual type of people, the Tibetan monks who meditate in the snow and they can't figure out why they can't get hypothermia, even though any other human would be dead in 10 minutes. It's exactly that.
Incredible. I want to have you come back, and maybe we can even go through some exercises and maybe help others that want to achieve certain things. We can help a bunch of people. You are incredibly awesome, Jordan. And I want to know, help me with this. I appreciate that. Share with me how people can learn more about you, find out about your music, whatever you want people to do. Let's share that now.
So you can follow me on Instagram, Jordan J. Power. You can also follow me at Jordan Power Talks. I'm going to be posting a comedy video every day for a year, just ranting on a subject that, I don't know, bothers me that day. And also, if you want to listen to my music, it's Jordan Power on whatever platform you get your music, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, etc. I'm releasing a new song next month, and I'm trying to release, I'm a busy boy. I'm trying to release a new song every month for the rest of the year and just keep up that, keep doing that. And hopefully there's a lot of new music for people. And I'm just getting started. I think a lot of things have clicked for me the past little while, and it's been a grueling spiritual awakening, but I'm excited for the future.
Well, things have clicked for you, and deservedly so. You're like an awesome human being, and let's get this kind of like in writing right now. You'll come back on the show in the near future. We'll talk further and deeper about this whole topic and anything else you want to talk about. You
have my word. I'll be back.
That sounds great. So I'm going to put that in writing right here. Jordan, thank you so much. I'll make sure we get this information about you in the show notes, where people, and if you want to send me some links, that'll even help a little bit more. I'll get anything in the show notes, and we will have you back. Jordan Power, thank you so much for being here. This was I don't know about you. I had an awesome time, and I actually learned a lot from you today. Thanks so much.
Thanks, David.
So I think I'm going to go ahead and hold off on Q&A today. As you know, we answer some questions at the end of every episode these days, but we've already gone 40 minutes into this, and it was such an awesome episode. I want to go ahead and it's probably better to end it here, and I want to thank Jordan again. I'm going to make sure I put his contact information and his Instagram and everything in the show notes. So please check out the show notes. And while you're checking out the show notes and my website, Microdose U, remember that we have a special for our coaching program, our 10-week program, the month of July, $400 scholarship, partial scholarship off of the 10-week program. Plus, we still offer 1-hour sessions. If you think that's all you need, 1-hour session, one-on-one help, happy to do that for you as well. It's all in the show notes. Also, I'm really excited to announce that we've just added a special platform onto our Patreon platform. You know, we've got a bunch of you guys that hang out with us on Patreon, and we have live meetings, and it's like one big family. We love it. But I just added the WhatsApp platform to any premium Patreon member. You get to chat with us basically 24/7 through WhatsApp as well, and we're there to answer questions, hang out. It's like one big happy family, and there on that platform, when you're with us there, anything goes. I will tell you that. So, and you know what I mean. We can talk about anything there over on Patreon, and now the companion WhatsApp with that you'll get when you join the Patreon Premium. Brand new episode every Wednesday. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here with me on Microdose U. I am Dr. Dave. I do love you, and we'll see you next time.